the galaxy's music greatest. Underestimation, the summit of mockery. Ambassador Marcus Chin stood before the assembled representatives of 47 alien civilizations, his worn diplomatic case clutched in weathered hands. The Horizon 7 station hung in neutral space, its crystalline halls built specifically for moments like these. Here the powerful species of the galaxy gathered to discuss trade, territory, and the fate of lesser worlds. Marcus had attended 12 of these summits over the past 20 years. Each time the result was the same. The Terran delegation requests expanded trade routes through Sector 9. Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the whispers already beginning among the crowd. His gray hair and simple suit marked him as unremarkable among the exotic beings surrounding him. Some delegates wore environmental suits that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Others existed as energy fields, contained within floating crystals. The diversity was stunning, yet they all shared one common trait: they looked down on humanity. The Predator's circle. Supreme Commander Vexter of the Carol Empire rose from his seat, his 4 muscular arms crossed over his armored chest. The reptilian warrior stood 3 m tall, his scales gleaming like polished obsidian under the station's artificial lights. His species had conquered 40 star systems through sheer military might, and they saw humans as nothing more than potential slaves. The Terran request much for a species with only 15 colony worlds. Vexter's voice rumbled through the chamber. Your fleet consists of what? 300 vessels. My personal battle group commands twice that number. Perhaps Earth should focus on defending what little it has rather than seeking more. Laughter rippled through the assembly. The insectoid representatives of the Hive Collective clicked their mandibles in amusement. The gaseous ethereals flickered with colors that indicated mockery in their language. Even the normally peaceful Aquarians swayed in their water-filled spheres with what might have been silent chuckles. Marcus absorbed the humiliation without expression. He had learned long ago that showing emotion only encouraged them further. The Terran Federation simply wishes to participate fully in galactic commerce, he replied calmly. We have resources that would benefit all species. Resources? A delegate from the Merchant Consortium spoke up, their crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. Your mining operations are centuries behind our technology. Your manufacturing is inefficient. Your agricultural exports are barely sufficient for your own population. What could Earth possibly offer that we cannot produce better ourselves? The hidden truth, what they did not know, what Marcus would never reveal in this chamber, was that every word they spoke was a lie that humanity had carefully cultivated. The primitive mining operations included extraction techniques that could harvest rare elements from quantum foam itself. The inefficient manufacturing facilities produced materials with properties that violated known physics. The barely sufficient agriculture sustained a population 3 times larger than any census had ever recorded. Earth had learned its lesson 2 centuries ago, when the first human explorers ventured into galactic space. They had watched the fate of the Yiggle Confederation, a peaceful species who had proudly displayed their advanced weapons technology. Within 5 years, the Yiggle home world was a smoking ruin, their weapons distributed among the species who had destroyed them. They had seen the millennial empire whose scientists had achieved faster than light travel. That put all others to shame. Council had quarantined them, restricted their growth and slowly absorbed their technology while keeping them confined to their clear's throat original system. Humanity had chosen a different path. They would hide in plain sight, appearing weak while growing strong in shadows. Every outdated ship that visited alien ports contained sensor-proof compartments filled with technology 1,000 years ahead of anything the galaxy possessed. Every colony that seemed to struggle with basic infrastructure had underground cities housing millions of citizens and research facilities that pushed the boundaries of science itself. The threat escalates. Vexter stepped forward, his clawed feet clicking against the station's floor. I propose a solution to the Terran problem, he announced, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who had never faced true resistance. Kill Empire will offer Earth protection. We will station our battle fleets in your systems, ensure your trade routes are safe, and guide your development. In exchange, you will provide us with 30% of your raw materials and allow our administrators to oversee your colonies. It was not a proposal, it was a threat. Wrapped in diplomatic language, every species in the chamber recognized it. Some looked uncomfortable, but none spoke against it. The Carawell Empire was too powerful, too aggressive. Better to let them consume Earth than risk becoming their next target. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, a small communication device hidden beneath his collar vibrated 3 times, the signal he had been waiting for, the signal that meant the waiting was finally over. Supreme Commander Vex Thor, Marcus said quietly, his tone suddenly different. The resignation was gone, replaced by something that made several sensitive species in the chamber suddenly pay closer attention. I appreciate your concern for Earth's welfare, however I must decline your generous offer. The chamber fell silent. Species that had been chattering amongst themselves stopped. Vexter and LT Unk and GT, eyes narrowed dangerously. You decline. Perhaps you do not understand your position, human. I'm not asking. Marcus smiled for the first time since the summit began. It was not a friendly expression. No, Commander, I don't think you understand your position. The silence before the storm, every sensor in the station suddenly screamed warnings. Energy readings spiked across every spectrum. Space itself seemed to ripple outside the viewing ports as something massive began to materialize. The delegates rushed to the windows, their previous mockery forgotten in the face of growing terror. Something was coming through dimensional space, something that made every military vessel in the surrounding area look like toys. The distortion grew larger, reality bending around it like water around a rising leviathan. Marcus watched their faces change from contempt to confusion to dawning horror. Gentlemen, ladies, and beings of various classifications, he said softly, allow me to introduce you to humanity's actual navy, starting with the HTSS Prometheus, our smallest super carrier. The mockery had ended. Now came the reckoning. When Titans wake, the impossible made real. The Prometheus emerged from dimensional fold space like a mountain range materializing in an empty desert. The Supercarrier stretched 52 km from bow to stern, its hull composed of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapon batteries lined its Surface in numbers that made experienced military officers feel physically ill. Energy readings pouring from the vessel exceeded the combined output of every ship currently docked at Horizon 7. Station Supreme Commander Vexler stumbled backward from the viewing port, his forearms hanging limply at his sides. His scales had lost their luster, fading to a sickly gray that indicated extreme stress in his species. Impossible, he whispered. Sensors would have detected construction of something that size. Our intelligence networks monitor every shipyard in human space. You monitor the shipyards we wanted you to see, Marcus replied, his voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence. The Prometheus was built in a pocket dimension we created specifically for this purpose, along with its 37 sister ships. The number hit the assembled delegates like a physical blow. 38 supercarriers, each one capable of ending civilizations. The mathematics were staggering, horrifying, impossible to ignore. The entire Carewell Armada, which Vexer had bragged about mere minutes ago, would be crushed like insects beneath the firepower that humanity had kept hidden. The truth unfolds. Marcus activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images appeared showing humanity's true infrastructure, cities housing billions beneath ocean floors and inside hollow moons, research stations positioned the corona of stars, harvesting energy on scales previously thought impossible. Manufacturing complexes that existed partially in alternate dimensions, allowing production rates that defied physics. For 200 years, humanity has played the role of the weak newcomer, Marcus explained, walking around the holographic display. We studied you all carefully. We watched how you treated species that revealed strength too early. We learned from the Yigal Confederation, the Millennial Empire, and 17 other civilizations that no longer exist because they were either too trusting or too proud. The Merchant Consortium representatives' crystalline body had dulled to an opaque gray. The trade figures, the census data, all false, carefully calibrated deceptions. Marcus confirmed. Every ship you saw in our ports was real, but deliberately outdated. Every colony you visited was genuinely populated, but showed you only surface installations. Every economic report we filed was accurate for the small fraction of our civilization we allowed you to observe. Humanity's actual population exceeds 400 billion. Our true territory includes 273 fully developed worlds plus another 1,000 stations, habitats, and research facilities scattered across a volume of space 6 times larger than what we officially claim. Technology beyond comprehension. The holographic display shifted, showing technical specifications of the Prometheus. The numbers made no sense to most of the delegates. Power generation systems that drew energy from vacuum fluctuations in quantum foam, weapon arrays that could manipulate gravitational constants within localized space, shields that existed partially in 5 different dimensions simultaneously, propulsion systems that could fold space-time on scales that reduced interstellar distances to mere minutes of travel. Your scientists will claim these technologies are impossible, Marcus continued. They will insist that known physics prevents several of these systems from functioning. They are correct based on their current understanding. Human physicists unified quantum mechanics and general relativity 90 years ago, we have made discoveries. Since then that your most advanced research institutions have not even theorized yet. An elderly delegate from the Peaceful Harmony Collective, a species known for their philosophical wisdom, finally found her voice. Why reveal this now if you have maintained this deception for 2 centuries? Why end it today? Marcus' expression softens slightly because remaining hidden is no longer beneficial to anyone, including ourselves. The galaxy faces threats that require cooperation between species. The void devourers in the galactic edge are growing active again. The dimensional rifts in Sector 12 are expanding. Rogue AI swarms from the ancient wars are beginning to wake in the forgotten regions. These challenges will overwhelm even the Council's combined might, but with humanity's full capabilities added to the equation, there is hope. The power dynamic shifts. Supreme Commander Vexther had recovered some of his composure, though his scales remained pale. This is a declaration of war, he said, trying to summon his earlier arrogance and failing. The Council will not accept this deception. You will do nothing. Marcus interrupted, his voice hard. Commander, please observe your tactical displays. Throughout the chamber, military officers checked their personal devices and fleet coordination systems. Horror spread across their faces as new contacts appeared on their sensors. Hundreds of contacts, thousands human vessels that had been hiding in dimensional folds throughout Council space were simultaneously revealing themselves. Every major world, every trade route, every military installation suddenly found itself within weapons range of ships that outclassed anything in the Council's arsenal. This is not a declaration of war, Marcus said firmly. This is a declaration of change. The old system where stronger species dominated weaker ones is ending. Humanity will accept our rightful place among the galactic powers, not as supplicants begging for scraps, but as equals demanding respect. Any species that wishes to maintain peaceful relations with Earth will be welcomed. Any species that chooses hostility, he let the sentence hang unfinished. Implication was clear enough. New beginnings, the ethereal beings of pure energy, known for their wisdom and perspective, flickered in patterns that indicated deep consideration. Their representatives spoke in harmonics that the translation devices rendered as a gentle voice. Humanity has taught us a profound lesson today. We judged you by appearances and assumed weakness where there was carefully hidden strength. Perhaps this is what we needed, a reminder that pride and complacency lead to blindness. Other species began murmuring agreement. The shock was wearing off, replaced by realization and, in some cases, grudging respect. Aquarians swayed in approval. The hive collective clicked in patterns that indicated thoughtful consideration. Even some of the more aggressive species were reassessing their positions. Only Vexther remained defiant. The Carwell Empire does not bow to fear tactics, he declared, though his voice lacked its earlier conviction. We will not simply accept this disruption of galactic order. Marcus turned to face him directly. Commander, your battle fleet, currently in orbit around Cole Prime, is surrounded by 12 human destroyers, each one more powerful than your largest dreadnought. Your colonies in the outer reach are within range of our weapon platforms. Your supply lines pass through space we control. I'm not asking for your surrender. I'm simply making Clear that the universe has changed. You can adapt or you can be left behind by history, the dawn of a new era, as the summit dissolved into hurried consultations and emergency communications with distant home worlds. Marcus stood alone at the viewing port, watching the Prometheus float majestically against the starfield. Captain Jennifer Wu appeared beside him, her image projected from the Supercarrier's bridge. That went better than expected, she said with a slight smile. Only 2 species have issued formal protests so far. The rest are requesting immediate diplomatic negotiations. The hard part begins now, Marcus replied. Remaining hidden was simple, building an equal partnership with species we've been deceiving for 2 centuries will be much more difficult but necessary. Jennifer agreed. The threats you mentioned are real. We'll need allies to face them. Marcus nodded, watching as smaller human vessels began emerging from dimensional folds throughout the sector, creating a display of power that the galaxy would never forget. 300 years ago, when humanity first reached the stars, we were naive and trusting. We paid a terrible price for that innocence. We vowed never to be vulnerable again. And now we're strong enough that we can afford to be merciful, strong enough that we can choose partnership over domination, strong enough to help build the galaxy we always wanted to see. Marcus turned away from the window. Signal all human fleet, defensive posture only unless directly attacked. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength was never our weapons, it was our determination to survive and our willingness to reach out despite past betrayals. The Prometheus hung in space, a testament to human ingenuity and patience. Throughout the galaxy, other species watched and learned. Earth had been underestimated for the last time. The age of hiding had ended. A new chapter in galactic history was beginning, one where humanity would help write the future rather than merely react to it. The silence that had descended across the galaxy when the Supercarrier appeared was finally breaking, but it was not the silence of fear that would endure. It was the silence of respect, hard-earned and impossible to ignore. Earth had spoken at last, and the cosmos would never be the